Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize on your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for an ad space so that you can always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today and become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co. And be sure to add Talking Sports with Manny in the How Did You Hear About Podgo section of the application. Thank you so much. Welcome to another episode of Talking Sports with Manny. Hope everybody's doing well. So in this episode, man, we're going to talk fantasy football. We're going to talk about some trade scenarios, some players to stay away from and some players to go grab. So let's kick it off with a trade proposal that my brother-in-law received today. So he has Dak Prescott and Christian McCaffrey. And somebody sent him a trade offer for Lamar Jackson and Alvin Kamara. Now, what we know about Alvin Kamara is that for the past 3 years, his first 3 years in the league, he gets at least 81 receptions. He's had 81 receptions in each of the last 3 years, which is his first 3 years in the league. So we know that the floor is 81 receptions. He's going to get you at least 81 receptions. So somebody said, well, if you have more weapons now in the Saints with Emmanuel Sanders, does that take away targets from Alvin Kamara? It's yes and no. Because since Alvin Kamara has been on the Saints, I can't think of a better number 2 wide receiver that the Saints have had besides Emmanuel Sanders. Now, I'm not sure if Alvin Kamara got to play with Brandon Cooks or not. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. But Alvin Kamara is a guy that I think he's going to return back to the form he had 2 years ago when he had 14 rushing touchdowns. Now, Alvin Kamara doesn't get he's never had 1,000 yards rushing in the season yet, but he does get, scrimmage yards. He does get a lot of receptions and a lot of yards on the receiving side of the ball. So it doesn't really matter that he's not getting the major rushing yards. Like I said, 2 years ago, he was able to score the ball a lot. And I think that last season he wasn't healthy. So this season he's healthy, and then it's a contract year. Yes, they're working on a contract right now, but even if they don't pay him right now, I think Alvin Kamara is motivated to show that he's one of the better or the best running back in the NFL. So Alvin Kamara is no slouch. It's just all about, will he repeat what he did 2 years ago, or are we going to get the Alvin Kamara from last year? Then we move on to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson put up an amazing season, which led him to the MVP of the NFL. He was able to put up quarterback numbers and then also put up an RB1 type season from the quarterback position. He had over 1,000 yards and 7 or more touchdowns rushing the ball. He was able to pass for over 3,000 plus yards, and then he also passed for 32 or 33 plus touchdowns. So Lamar Jackson is a guy, man, that can, literally change the entire game for you, because in most leagues, quarterbacks get 4 points per touchdown pass. But if he's rushing the ball and getting rushing touchdowns, that's just more stats. So, like I said, this is like an even deal. Lamar Jackson had a magical season last year. Dak Prescott had a magical season last year, and so did Christian McCaffrey. Now, the thing on Christian McCaffrey is he going to get 1,300 yards again? I think he can. Also, with Christian McCaffrey, you ask yourself, is he a guy that can get you 14, 15 plus touchdowns again? It is, but with a new coach and a new quarterback, a new system, we don't even know what Christian McCaffrey we're going to get. A lot of people are shying away from Christian McCaffrey and trading him. I'm actually the guy that's buying Christian McCaffrey. I believe that he's one of the safest bets when it comes to PPR. Is he going to get over 100 catches again? I don't know. He had 116 receptions last year. He rushed for 1,300 yards. He had 15 rushing touchdowns. And then on the receiving side, he had mega stats as well. He caught, like I said, he caught 116 receptions for 1,000 yards. And then he caught a few more touchdowns. So Christian McCaffrey is a game changer, man. He's a guy that you want on your team. He's just that good. So he had monster games. Check out these monster games that he had. He had 10 receptions in week 1, 10 receptions in week 4, 11 receptions in week 11, 11 receptions in week 14, and then 15 receptions in week 15. If you had if you if you had him those weeks, you most likely won your league. I mean, he put up monster numbers like 42 points and 47, 37, 37, 32. I mean, 34. He had a lot of 30-point games. This guy was just disruptive. So Christian McCaffrey and Dak, I'll take that side over Lamar and Alvin Kamara. What do you guys think? Be sure to hit me up on Twitter to join the conversation. So that's trade 1. Trade 2, I play in a six-man keeper league. And the rules are you got to keep one quarterback, you got to keep one wide receiver, one running back, and then 3 of anything else. So I was taking over this league or this team in this league, and it's a money league, $100 league. So, I hop in. When I hopped in, I didn't have a lot of talent on the team. I had Tom Brady for my quarterback. I had A.J. Brown. I had Jarvis Landry, A.J. Green, and Calvin Ridley. And then I had Alvin Kamara. Those were the 6 keepers that was on the team. And I was like, man, this team is terrible. So what I was able to do was I was able to move pieces around. First move was I had 4 wide receivers. I needed to get rid of at least 2 of them. So I traded A.J. Brown for a second-round pick. Then I took that second-round pick and traded the worst of my second-round pick for who was it? Melvin Gordon. So now I got Alvin Kamara and Melvin Gordon. So I'm still building. So I wasn't able to move A.J. Green. So I dropped A.J. Green so he goes back into the draft pool. So the draft comes around. I have the first pick overall. I drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But before the draft, I kept trying to move that number 1 overall pick for, a bell cow running back or a running back like an RB2 type guy and a pick or something like that. So I offered this guy, I said, I'll give you the first overall for Joe Mixon and the 3rd overall. He told me Mixon and Swift from Detroit. He said, this is not a good, it's not a good pick. It's not a good trade. So I said, well, you're getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who you can keep for the next 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So we went back and forth. He tried to give me Tyler Lockett in the 3rd for the 1st. I said, nah, because if I only have Alvin Kamara, I got to get more talent. And this was before I got Melvin Gordon. So literally I had no running backs. So today, after like the whole draft has gone on and everything, I was able to draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the 1st. I had 2 second-round picks, and I was able to get guys like Michael Gallup, who I'm telling you guys, I think he's gonna have better production than Amari Cooper. But anyway, so I get Michael Gallup, I get Deebo Samuels, I get Sony Michel later in the draft, and I just draft and just keep doing my thing. So what ended up happening for me was after the draft, I was able to trade Jarvis Landry and Christian Kirk for Cooper Kupp. I'm a big Cooper Kupp guy. I think that Cooper Kupp is going to blow up again. I'm not sure he ends up number 4 overall or number 5 overall in the rankings, but I do expect Cooper Kupp to have at least 90 catches, at least 1,100 yards. Now, if he gets me 10 touchdowns again, that's just an added bonus. It's going to come down to the touchdowns to determine if he's in the top 5 or if he's in the, I still think he's going to be a wide receiver 1, but where he ranks, I don't know. So I got Cooper Kupp. And I just kept building a team. So today, the guy came back to me saying, hey, I want to make one more run at Clyde Edwards-Helaire before week 1. That big game is coming up. And If Clyde Edwards-Helaire blows up like Kareem Hunt did in that first game, as a Kansas City Chief, so he knows like if Clyde Edwards-Helaire blows up that first game, I'm not trading him. And I'm big on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he has potential to be a top 7 back. I think he's going to be an RB1 this season because he's the best pass catcher in the draft, and he can run. He can run the ball. So I was able to get Joe Mixon and Terry McLaurin for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. All this guy had to do was give me the number 3 overall and Mixon, and he would have had Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So now he ended up drafting Swift in the first round, 3rd overall. Then he traded Swift for Devontae Parker, and then tried to trade me Devontae Parker and Mixon. So it's the same thing I told him. Give me the pick and Mixon, and we would have been done with this. So what ended up happening was I was able to get Terry McLaurin, and then I was able to get Joe Mixon. So here's how my team looks right now. I have Tom Brady as my quarterback. I have Alvin Kamara as my running back 1, Joe Mixon running back 2. Then I have Cooper Kupp and Terry McLaurin as my number 1 and number 2 wide receivers. I have Mark Andrews as my tight end. I have Melvin Gordon as my flex. Then I have Calvin Ridley in my flex. Then I have New England's defense and Greg Zuerlein. On the bench, I have Michael Gallup, Deebo Samuel, Sony Michel, N'Keal Harry, Dallas Goedert, who I think is going to have a great season this year. Pittsburgh's defense, I have Tua Tagovailoa, who I'm going to keep this up and coming season. I'm going to dump Tom Brady and keep Tua. So I drafted him as a sleeper. Then I have Brian Edwards from Las Vegas Raiders as a sleeper guy, but I'm going to pick back up Gardner Minshew. I like Gardner Minshew a lot. So this is how my team looks, man. Like I said, I took over the worst team in the league last year, and I've turned it into a competitive bunch. So the guy I play, he has a tough team this week. He has Drew Brees, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Deontay Johnson, Devontae Parker, Hawkinson, Eckler, Will Fuller. I'm trying to get Will Fuller from him. If you guys listen to my last pod, I told you guys that Will Fuller is a buy low candidate, and he's a guy I'm trying to get. So I'll see if I can get Will Fuller. If I send him Deebo Samuels, he might be able to do that deal. I like Will Fuller a lot this season. I'm not sure about after this season, but I think he's going to blow up versus Kansas City come Thursday. So I'm going to try to send him Deebo Samuels for Will Fuller. And if I get Will Fuller, I'm starting Will Fuller over Melvin Gordon. And we'll just go from there, man. We'll just kind of see what happens. But I like my team. I like the makeup of it. I think I really did well building this team, all over again. So we'll see how this season goes. So those are the 2 trades I want to kind of talk to you guys about, man. Fantasy is in full swing. The season starts in 2 days. I'm super excited. I think in this first game between the Houston Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs, I think that Deshaun Watson has a big game. Deshaun Watson just got paid. Mahomes got paid. So Mahomes makes like about at least $45 million a year. And then Deshaun Watson is right under him with $39 million a year. So you have the 2 top young quarterbacks. Of course, Lamar Jackson is, also in the discussion. But we're going to see what happens in that game. But I think that Deshaun Watson is going to have him a game. And then you have Patrick Mahomes, who people are expecting to have another 40-plus touchdown season, with improved weapons. You have Tyreek Hill, who can, break one. So I don't even know what Houston's defense looks like in real life, but I know that Kansas City was a team that was giving up a lot of big pass plays. So with Brandon Cooks out there and Will Fuller, I think one of those guys or both of those guys blow up. I'm thinking that the Texans are playing from behind, trying to catch up. So that's going to be a great, great Thursday night. I'm going to be watching that game. I'll be watching my Lakers as well. Other predictions, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire has a good showing. He's going to get at least a score. He might get about 5 to 7 receptions. Do not sleep on Darrell Williams. In any league that Darrell Williams is available in free agency, go grab him now. He's going to be a guy that's going to be able to eat. He'll be able to get you 10 to 15 fantasy points in PPR per game, because Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not going to be able to lead this backfield by himself. So Darrell Williams will be a factor. And if Clyde Edwards-Helaire happens to get hurt at any point in the season, man, I'm trying to tell you right now, Darrell Williams is going to be a guy that literally would be a weekly number one RB1. Not number one, but he'll be an RB1 for sure, because he's in that prolific offense. Wide receivers to look for on the Kansas City side, it's going to be obviously Tyreek Hill, but also look for Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins is available in a lot of leagues in the free agent market, so you might want to get him, kind of see how he does. If he's healthy, he can definitely blow up. He did play very, very well in the Super Bowl, so he might carry that into this season. A lot of guys are sleeping on Sammy Watkins. And then, of course, you got the tight ends. You got Travis Kelce, who's going to do his thing. The most consistent tight end we have in the game. Also, do not sleep on the tight end duo that the Texans have. One of those guys is going to be the guy this season, is going to, be a nice sleeper tight end. I think that the tight end position is a lot deeper this year than it was in the years past. So it's going to be an exciting game. I can't wait to see football here in full-fledged, and let's see what the crowd looks like. Let's see if being in an empty stadium affects play. Some players do well without noise, so we're going to see all these things factor in. My biggest advice to you guys is make sure that you have depth, and some more depth, because when COVID hits, you want to be able to have players to come in and replace your starters. And that's been my whole motto for this season, is to get depth. Who knows? Maybe I trade Deebo Samuels for Ryan Tannehill and Fuller or something, because I do need another quarterback. So we'll kind of see what happens, man. I'm excited for this season. I hope you guys are as well. Let me know what you guys think about my predictions or my statements and comments for the Texans versus the Chiefs. Hey, guys, this is your boy Manny. Ever wanted to make a podcast, but you never really knew how? Anchor is the key. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast to places such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Also, you can make money from your podcast right away. You don't need no minimum listenership to start making money. Everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So go ahead and get started today. Download the Anchor app at the App Store or go to anchor.fm to get started. So, guys, this season I am in 13 money leagues, and I'm going to kind of break down some of my draft process or my draft strategies in several of my leagues. A league that I'm in is Footballcoholics Anonymous. And I've been in this league since I think I was like in undergrad in college. And I've been in this league for about maybe 13 years or so. I know I just told my age, but this draft started out very weird, man. And I had the number 2 pick overall. I took Saquon Barkley. Then at pick number 23, Patrick Mahomes fell to me. So in this league, I've never really had an elite quarterback, and quarterbacks are important. Usually I'm not a guy who gets quarterbacks this early, but if a guy like either Lamar or Patrick Mahomes falls to me, it just makes sense. So I took Patrick Mahomes, and then a few picks later, I took Chris Godwin. That's a nice way to start the draft. So I get a top wide receiver, a top quarterback, and then a top running back. Then I was able to get Jonathan Taylor in the 4th round. At that time, there was no other running backs available, and I knew I needed another running back. Now, if I go back and look at this stuff from round to round, let me see if I could have gotten another running back instead of getting Chris Godwin. Now, what I should have done was, instead of Chris Godwin, I saw that George Kittle was out here. It would have been nice to get George Kittle and then come back later on in the fourth round and possibly get another wide receiver. So Since I didn't get George Kittle, I got Chris Godwin. I think Chris Godwin is going to have a good season, but at the same time, it's like there's a lot of mouths to feed out there. You got Gronkowski, you got Evans. How many touchdowns realistically can Godwin, Evans, and Gronkowski have? If they all can have at least 7 each, that would be beautiful, but it's not ideal. Either Godwin or Evans is going to blow up touchdown-wise, but I see them getting a lot of receptions, a lot of yards. So you got Godwin here. And then Kenny Golladay was out there, a guy that I liked. But if I didn't get Godwin, Melvin Gordon in the third, Todd Gurley, Chris Carson, Melvin Ingram, these are guys that I will not take in the third round. I do like Melvin Gordon a lot. I do feel like he's going to catch at least 50 passes this year. But at the same time, I feel like, depending on where I'm drafting, I'm not going to pass up on a Godwin or a Kittle to go after Melvin Gordon. Then a guy like Chris Carson, man, I just don't have a good feeling about him this year. And then because I was picking later on, maybe I should have gotten a running back here because after all this happened, then, Le'Veon Bell goes, Fournette, and this was before the Fournette news. Then you got David Johnson, and that's where all the running backs were going. And then on top of that, Terry McLaurin is a guy that I've been getting in the 4th round. He goes. So at this point, I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor or David Montgomery. I'm glad I chose Jonathan Taylor. So I took Jonathan Taylor, then Kyler Murray goes. So just imagine if I didn't get Patrick Mahomes, I could have gotten a better running back for sure. When I picked Patrick Mahomes, the running backs that were out there was still, it was still the same situation. I probably would have just ended up getting 2 receivers, maybe doubling up on a Chris Godwin and a Kenny Golladay. That might have been a pretty good strategy. And then maybe instead of the Jonathan Taylor pick, maybe I get a Kyler Murray, But then you never know what happens. But that might have been a pretty good trade-off. Kyler Murray for, having 2 solid superstar-type wide receivers. And then after Kyler Murray went, I saw Amari Cooper. It was either Amari Cooper or Zach Ertz. So now I'm forfeiting getting a top-tier tight end again. So I go Amari Cooper, even though I should have gone Zach Ertz. I think Zach Ertz is going to have a phenomenal season. But Amari Cooper in the 5th was just too good to pass up. So then after I miss out on Zach Ertz and Mark Andrews went right after, I'm thinking, okay, I can get a Darren Waller. So in the 6th round, Darren Waller goes pick 66. I was so mad. And even in the 6th round, Deshaun Watson went. So now I'm feeling bad about getting Patrick Mahomes so early. But at the end of the day, it's Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes gets me 40 touchdowns this season, then it was a well worth it pick. So as I scroll down, I'm trying to figure out who to draft. Darren Waller goes. I'm looking at Hayden Hurst. I'm not a big Hayden Hurst fan. So at the time, I take Ronald Jones. Like I said, this was before that Fournette news. So I'm thinking Ronald Jones, in the 6th round, not a bad pick. I saw DeAndre Swift, but I'm not a big fan of DeAndre Swift, at least not this season. Then a guy that I've been looking at was Will Fuller. He goes literally right before I take Devin Singletary. So I take Devin Singletary, and I wasn't really paying attention to Zach Moss. And the funny thing is, I could have taken Kareem Hunt instead of Singletary, but I'm thinking, okay, Singletary is the guy. Then I start to hear news that, Zach Moss can be involved in the passing game. Zach Moss is going to get the goal line carries. Singletary is fumbling in practice. So now it's just a whole mess, man. Now I got Singletary when I could have had Cam Akers, but that's a muddy backfield. And I already had Jonathan Taylor. I just didn't want to have 2 rookies. Then Kareem Hunt goes, Jordan Howard goes, even a Gronkowski. I could have had a Gronkowski instead of Devin Singletary. So, there's so many mistakes that I made, but I still felt that, I had to do what I had to do. Then in the 8th round, that's where you see people start reaching for their defenses, and people are reaching for their kickers, which is crazy. Some guy got Harrison Butker in the 8th round. That's nuts. So we keep on going, and in this round, which is the 8th round, I saw Josh Allen. Now, I could have pissed off one of my guys by taking Josh Allen, because at that point he doesn't have a quarterback, but he ended up going Matthew Stafford. So now I have Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. I can always flip Patrick Mahomes and get a top tier guy. Maybe I can trade Mahomes for Saquon Barkley. I'm just saying. I mean, I already have Saquon. I mean, Christian McCaffrey. Maybe I can trade Patrick Mahomes for Alvin Kamara or something like that. It's worth it. That's why you go and get your Patrick Mahomes in the second round, because then you can now trade him for top tier RB1. And then I can just rock with Josh Allen. So by midseason, I'm going to ship out Patrick Mahomes, especially if he's blowing up. Why not? Then I could have had Sony Michel, but I passed on him. I got Tyler Higbee because I needed a tight end. So hopefully Higbee does something for me. And then with the rest of my draft picks, I took Deontay Johnson, a sleeper wide receiver. I took Jalen Reagor. And then with my last pick of the draft, or second to last pick, I took Damian Harris. I saw Henry Ruggs out there. I should have taken Henry Ruggs, but I took Damian Harris. I bought into that hype. Now I have him on IR. Then I also drafted Brandon Ayuk. What I decided to do was to not draft a kicker. What's the point of drafting a kicker? And with my very last pick, I took Alshon Jeffries. Then I put him straight into my IR. It created another spot to draft a kicker. So I just went with the approach of getting somebody that I can put into the IR spot and then getting a kicker. So this was my draft. Let me know how I did. I just used that strategy of not getting a kicker. And since there's no preseason, I have time to kind of wait and kind of look around and see what happens. So in this league, I haven't made a trade, but my team looks completely different in a way from the draft. So I kept everybody, and I was able to snag Antonio Gibson for free from the free agent market. I was able to pick up Noah Fant. I was able to drop my kicker and pick up Darrell Williams, because I want to see if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the real deal. And if Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets hurt come Thursday, guess what? I got me a RB1 on my bench. Then I can drop a guy like Noah Fant for a kicker. But I just want to have Darrell Williams. If he doesn't do anything, it kind of gives me time. I'll have time until Sunday or maybe even Monday to kind of plug in that kicker position. But, I mean, I love my team. I love what I got going on. So in this league, this is one of my most competitive leagues with my guys. I'm going to share one more league with you guys on kind of my strategy of drafting. So in this league that I just talked to you guys about, I drafted number 2. I'm going to talk to you guys about my league, Warzone. This one is a $100 league, very competitive. I came in second place last year, and I made so many trades. So this is a 2-quarterback league. It's a super flex. So in this league, the draft came on, and I was drafting from the 12th position. So because this guy took Tyreek Hill at the 8th spot, Derrick Henry fell to me at number 12. So I took Derrick Henry. Now, after taking Derrick Henry, I could have taken Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb was out here. I could have taken a Kenyon Drake, but I'm not a Kenyon Drake kind of guy. And since this is PPR, I wanted to kind of have at least one back that can catch passes. So I took Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders fell to pick 13. Cool. I could have had Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce would have been ideal right here. But I said, let me go ahead and lock up 2 potential RB1s. I know that Derrick Henry is going to be an RB1, and Miles Sanders can push for that RB1 position. So after I took Miles Sanders, guys like Jacobs was out there, who I liked a lot. Aaron Jones was out there. I'm not a big fan of his this season. George Kittle went. Mixon went. Chubb went. Deshaun went. And in this draft, man, quarterbacks went in the first round. It was Lamar and Mahomes, because it's a super flex league, and the quarterback points are souped up. On any given Sunday, Lamar or Mahomes can have 50 to 60 points. So quarterbacks are important. So in the beginning of the third round, Godwin went, and Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott. So here are the good quarterbacks. They're going. Then you have OBJ, then Russell Wilson. Then you have Allen Robinson, then Josh Allen. So at this point, the 5 or 6 quarterbacks that I wanted are gone. So I'm like, you know what? Forget the quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers goes, in the third round. So that's crazy. So I take Mike Evans, and then I take Terry McLaurin. Yes, I could have had a guy like Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan would have been ideal to scoop at this point. But you know what? I said, let me go ahead and solidify my wide receiving position. So I took Mike Evans. Yeah, I could have taken the Kenny Galladay, but I love Terry McLaurin this season. Immediately after that, Jonathan Taylor comes off the board, and Drew Brees, Singletary, Fournette, so on and so forth. So we enter the fifth round, and it seems like Amari Cooper always goes the beginning of the fifth round. Then Mark Andrews is gone. So Baker Mayfield. So more quarterbacks are leaving. So at this point, I'm like, I got to get a quarterback. So Cooper Kupp goes. Some guy took Deebo Samuels for a reach in the fifth round. It's crazy. Then DJ Chark. So the best available quarterback for me is Carson Wentz at pick 60 at the end of the fifth round. So I'm at the turn. And then the sixth round, I'm looking at Zach Ertz, man, a top 3 tight end. So I snatch up Ertz. I got that stack between Carson and Zach Ertz. So I keep on going. I keep on building. I see Ben Roethlisberger go off the board. I see Goff go off the board. Cam, Joe Burrow. So it's getting kind of crazy because I got to get my second quarterback, and I got to wait like 19 picks. I'm seeing guys like Robert Woods go off, Tannehill go off. I'm like, man, I got to get another quarterback. So Jimmy Garoppolo goes off the board. So I really risked it. Instead of taking a quarterback, instead of that tight end, it was a big quarterback run. So I was able to get Phillip Rivers at the end of the 7th round. And in the 8th round, I got Darren Waller in the 8th round. So then I was able to now move Waller. But I got Dwayne Haskins as my third quarterback at the end of the 9th. I got Marlon Mack. Instead of getting Marlon Mack, I kind of regret not getting San Francisco's defense, but it's okay. I'm going to stream my defense this year anyways. So I got Marlon Mack, who I believe is going to be the starter, and not Jonathan Taylor to start out the year. Then I was able to get Adrian Peterson. At this pick, I kind of looked at Antonio Gibson, but Gibson might have went maybe a few picks before this pick. I'm not even sure. But I go in Adrian Peterson instead of Antonio Gibson. I didn't trust myself. And then Bryce Love, I wanted him. But then, I said, I'm not going to opt to get one of these younger guys. And that was a mistake. That's what happens when you draft early sometimes. So Gibson goes in the 13th round, actually. Then I start picking up my sleepers. I get Justin Jefferson in the 13th round. I get Sony Michel in the 14th round. What value. And I was trying to get New England's defense or Washington's defense to fall to me in the 15th round, and that didn't happen, which was the very last round of this draft. So with the very last pick, I took Golden Tate instead of a kicker, and then I just kind of played the waiting game to kind of see what happened. So here's how my team looks. I was able to trade Darren Waller for Melvin Gordon. So my starters are Carson Wentz, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, Derrick Henry, Miles Sanders, Zach Ertz, Melvin Gordon, and Phillip Rivers. On the bench, I have Dwayne Haskins, Marlon Mack, Justin Jefferson, Sony Michel, Henry Ruggs. Somebody dropped him. Somebody dropped him to pick up that Jags guy. So they dropped him there, and then Darrell Williams. And at this point, I still have no kicker. My opponent has agreed to play me with no kicker. So this is pretty cool. And I have Damian Harris and Rashad Penny stashed in my IR spot. So just wanted to give you guys kind of like my strategy and kind of how I value players and what I do. You guys saw in this draft, I tried to get a good quarterback, but it just didn't flow that way. It didn't flow that way. So I was able to get value like Darren Waller in the 8th round because I didn't go quarterback high. I didn't go quarterback early. Now, I could have taken Darren Waller and traded it for a quarterback. I didn't do that. I felt like I had 3 decent quarterbacks. Having Dwayne Haskins as my number 3 is not bad. He was cheap. I got him with great value. So he'll be able to plug in for me on the bye weeks for Phillip Rivers and Wentz. And I was still able to get my top 5 tight end. I was able to get 2 running backs that I believed in, and then get some sleeper guys at the end like Sony and Marlon Mack. So, guys, that's it, man. So some players that I really like are Marlon Mack. Go buy him now. He did nothing wrong to deserve to lose his job, so he's still going to be a factor. So you want to go buy guys like Marlon Mack. You want to go get guys like Bryan Edwards and Henry Ruggs because they're going to eat in that offense. Tyrell Williams is out for the season, so Henry Ruggs is the guy to keep an eye on. Another rookie is Justin Jefferson. He's going to start out the year behind B.C. Johnson as a number 3 wide receiver, but he has potential to move up into that number 2 role. And who knows if he's moved outside or if he plays inside. If he plays inside, he's going to eat with Kirk Cousins, man. If he takes over that Stephon Diggs role, maybe they move Jefferson to the Thielen role and then Thielen to the Diggs role. So let's see what happens there. There's lots of questions to be answered, man. Like I've said, I love Will Fuller. That's a name to go get. There's all sorts of guys to go grab. I'm going to give you guys a few more names for bonus content. You want to go get James White. James White is going to be that receiving back that you want to have. Cam Newton loves the running backs, and he's going to be throwing a lot of passes to James White. Also, go buy low on David Montgomery. They're saying that David Montgomery is going to catch more passes this season, and if that's true, he can flirt with RB2 numbers. Antonio Gibson, he's a guy that's going cheap. You can get him late at the end of your drafts. Go grab him. I have a dynasty draft tomorrow, and you best believe that Antonio Gibson is a guy that I'm most likely going to draft in the first, maybe second round, because I gotta have him, man. I gotta have him. I like his upside. Chris Thompson is another guy. He's cheap. Matter of fact, go grab you Gardner Minshew, Chris Thompson, and DJ Chark. Minshew and Thompson are going to be cheap. They're going to be losing a lot of games, so you can expect for tons and tons and tons of passes. A few more names for me to give you guys before I wrap this up. Kareem Hunt. Go grab Kareem Hunt. He's going to be that PPR monster. He's going to get a lot of receptions. And then he's going to get you some goal line carries as well, man. Kareem Hunt is going to be able to eat in that backfield. With that whole new system that they're bringing in, that same Vikings system, the coordinator from the Vikings went to the Cleveland Browns. So it's definitely a name to, keep an eye on. Guys like J.D. McKissick, Boston Scott. Those are names to keep an eye on, especially when it comes to PPR. So, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Just want to kind of share my experiences with fantasy football because I do post a lot on Twitter about fantasy football, but I wanted to kind of give you guys a firsthand look on what my mind is going through during these drafts and during these seasons. I'll be doing another episode shortly about the stardom situms. It's probably going to be... I'm probably going to release it before the game on Thursday. So you guys keep an eye out for that. All right, guys, share this episode, share this podcast with somebody else. Be sure to subscribe on Apple, like, share. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and you guys be safe.